Hello, my name is Taylor Kim. I'm a senior project manager with Watchery Design. Today, I'd like to share a few thoughts with you about adaptive reuse and parking structure conversions. We often get asked about adaptive reuse and how to design a building that can go from this image on the left to the one on the right. By envisioning the future purpose of the building and a design approach that supports conversion, owners can make an initial investment into the parking structure as well as an early investment into the future. I will go over 5 things to consider when thinking about adaptive reuse in your next parking structure project. The first thing we want to consider is the floor-to-floor heights. Garages have relatively low floor-to-floor heights. In most cases, you only need to design for a 7-foot clear height and 8'2" for your ADA parking. Whereas most offices require 10 to 13 feet clear, retail and restaurants require 15 to 18 feet, and residential buildings require 8 to 9 foot clear. Also, parking slabs are typically sloped to drain, so by the time you level out the floors, you might lose another 12 to 18 inches in your floor heights. Therefore, it is critical to think about your floor heights in your initial building if you want to consider a future conversion. The second thing to consider is the design of your ramps, which is a unique component of garages. Ramps need to be designed to offer a high level of service while it is being used, but also removable in the future. Ramps can either be designed on the perimeter of the building as you see here, or they can be located inside the building as an independent precast or steel component so it can be easily removed. The spaces that remain in place of the ramp could be converted into a courtyard or light well for your future projects if planned properly. The third consideration has to do with the structural design. It may surprise you, but parking structures are designed for much lower structural loads than other uses. While it may seem counterintuitive, the average weight of a car relative to its footprint is much lighter than that of a human. In other uses, you have to consider the weight of humans as well as other equipment and furniture that contributes to higher loads. If you design a parking structure for just parking loads, it may be difficult to increase the structural capacity later down the road. The fourth consideration is the structural framing system. Standalone parking structures are usually designed with a long span system, which is most efficient for parking cars. Beams span the entire 60-foot parking bay, and you end up with no columns between your parking spaces. However, there are deep beams that span throughout the parking garage, which doesn't work well for other uses. And the floors can be a little bouncy and have too much vibrations. A short span has additional columns, typically on a 30 by 30 foot grid, that do not require any beams. It can provide a stiffer floor, which is more desirable for a future occupied use. However, you end up with columns between your parking stalls, which can make it less desirable for parking. Therefore, it is important to consider the structural framing and understand the challenges and opportunities for your future conversion. And the last thing you may want to consider is your stair and elevator cores. Offices and residential buildings frequently have centralized core locations, whereas it is more efficient to locate cores at the outer corners of a parking structure. Also, parking structures have much lower occupant loads than other uses, so it may be necessary to add additional emergency egress stairs in the future. When considering a future conversion, carefully considering the location of the cores can provide a much better layout for your future use without having to rebuild some of the more costly components of the building. So today, we talked about 5 things you should consider when planning for a future garage conversion. 1. What should you set your floor-to-floor heights to be so it can work for a future use? 2. How will the ramps be designed so they can be removed in the future? 3. What will you design your structural loads to handle? 4. What structural framing system will you choose? And 5. Where does it make most sense to locate your stair and elevator cores for your current and future use? Thank you for joining me today and learning a little bit more about adaptive reuse and garage conversions. Thank you again and have a great day.